Hey guys, this is Myles at Tactical Hyve. Last month I had the opportunity to take a 2-day pistol class with Kawa Malay. Kawa is a former U.S. Army Green Beret and a former Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat instructor. He's also the owner of 2Alpha Training Group. Kawa's 2-day pistol class was divided into Pistol 1, Mastering the Fundamentals, and Pistol 2, an Introduction to Dynamic Movement. Before getting into the review, I did want to say that Kawa's class was my type of pistol class because he really threw a lot of information at the students and gave them a lot of time to drill so that we could drive in these learning points that he just taught us. For some, this might be information overload, but I thought that he had the perfect balance between instruction and drilling. So let's dive right in and take a closer look at the class. Kawa's class was run well with a great instructor to student ratio. Kawa had 2 assistants the first day and 1 assistant instructor the next day. Not at one point did I notice any student struggling with the technique for very long. There was always an instructor available to help and to answer questions. At a minimum, students had to bring a pistol, magazines, a range belt, outside the waistband holster, ammo, and eye and ear protection. Students could bring other optional equipment if they wanted to, like a medical kit, tourniquet, and dump pouch, but they were not required. His 2-day pistol class started with Pistol 1, Mastering the Fundamentals. While one might think Pistol 1 is meant for brand new shooters, I think his Pistol 1 class is best suited for shooters who already know how to safely manipulate a weapon and who have taken a basic pistol class or two. We started day 1 with a safety brief, so everyone knew what to do in case of an emergency. In line with safety, Kawa discussed how every student should always know the condition of their gun and how all weapons manipulations should be done in one's workspace to maintain situational awareness. He then ran the class through his administrative loading process, which includes visual and tactile checks. He also showed students how to properly unload a weapon. He also briefly talked about press checks. After, he took a good amount of time to run the class through the fundamentals of pistol marksmanship: stance, grip, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control, follow-through, and recovery. As he was going over the fundamentals, I really liked how he talked about 3 points that are hardly discussed in the classes I've attended. First was the gray area in many triggers. Shooters have probably heard and have been taught to take up the slack in their triggers, to pull their triggers until they reach a wall to help ensure a smooth trigger pull straight to the rear. However, many instructors seem to neglect to teach students about the gray area. Once a student hits the wall of their trigger, he or she should still be able to pull their trigger even before the shot breaks. Now, I know some guns will differ, but in most guns, striker-fired guns, for example, SIGs or Glocks, you will have this gray area. When it comes to precision shooting with a pistol, understanding and fully leveraging the gray area is key to accurate shooting. Secondly, I liked how Kawa discussed a different method of gripping a pistol. Traditionally, shooters have been taught to make sure that the heels of their palms touch one another when gripping. Kawa mentioned that he and many of his peers no longer subscribe to this technique, as muzzle flip can be controlled even with a little space between the heels of one's palms. Interestingly, when I first started shooting, I instinctively used this type of grip. I've also heard from very well-respected Special Forces instructors and Navy SEALs talk about using this method of gripping their pistols. I no longer use this method as I personally shoot more accurately and faster, driving the heels of my palms together, but I really appreciated how he shared this technique. At the same time, he did not say it was the best and left it up to the student to try it out and determine if it is best for them. Lastly, when talking about the fundamentals, specifically recovery, I liked how he talked about what recovery would probably look like in a real gunfight versus on a flat range. After the fundamentals, we switched gears and focused on dealing with malfunctions. I liked how Kawa decided to cover this early because students never know when they will run into a malfunction while drilling. He covered standard immediate action and remedial action drills and also talked about squibs and what to do if your pistol doesn't cycle. None of the classes I've been to thus far talk about squibs, so I appreciated Kawa taking the time to talk about squib loads, which basically refer to a projectile being lodged in a barrel, which can be very dangerous. He taught us what to listen and look out for and how to deal with them. We then spent the rest of the day shooting, working different drills that would help us master the fundamentals he taught us. For our drills, he continually encouraged us to move quickly with our weapons manipulations, but to slow down as we pushed out to take our shots. We warmed up with some live fire shooting incorporating some malfunction work using the tap rack technique. Then we moved on to slow fire drills to work our mechanics. We took 15 shots from full presentation, 15 shots from position 3 or compressed ready, and 15 shots drawing from the holster. While drilling, Kawa continually advocated that we self-assess and think about why our shots are on or off target. Students should learn something with every shot they take. Kawa then put us through a couple of drills to isolate trigger control. The first drill was to shoot a 1-inch pasty from 3 yards away, holding our pistols with one hand, gripping only with our thumbs and index fingers. This drill allowed us to really work on our trigger press.
It only works if you take all 3 fingers off the gun. If you're making contact with even one finger, it's not going to work for you.
We then moved on to a partner drill to help us better understand and have a feel for our trigger's gray area. Our partners were there to also remind us to quickly reset our triggers after breaking the shot. We then broke out the dummy rounds to continue working trigger control. We had a partner randomly place a dummy or a live round in our magazine, and we had to focus on just moving our trigger finger when shooting. Using dummy rounds, if we flinched, we would know we were anticipating recoil. The goal is to mentally train ourselves to move only our trigger fingers. After trigger control, we spent time working on reloading. He talked about speed reloads and tack reloads and the different ways one can release their slide after inserting a fresh magazine. He discussed the various slingshot methods and using a pistol's slide release. Kawa prefers using the slide release, but he encouraged students to try all methods and to find out what works best for them. Kawa moved on to briefly talk about hand transfers. Although transferring a pistol from one hand to the other is relatively simple, I really like the technique Kawa showed. I haven't seen it anywhere, and I appreciate little details that can make movements even more efficient. We then worked on cadence for a while, taking shots following a full count, half count, and quarter count rhythm. We ended day one with a number of drills, like a 25-yard shot drill to see where we were in terms of accuracy from distance. And we worked various drills to continue working on our trigger press, sight alignment, follow through, and cadence. The next day, we started by working our holster draws to one shot on target. We went through a number of sets where we had a par time to meet for each set of repetitions. This allowed us to really hone in on our technique while gradually speeding up. We found that most students can draw and shoot while maintaining good technique with a par time of 1.5 seconds. At a par time of 1 second, we noticed that technique and accuracy started to really deteriorate. After working on our holster draws, we moved on to target transitions. Here, Kawa talked about the 3/4, 1/4 rule, where one is taught to transition quickly to another target for the first 3/4 of their movement. And as one is about to get their sights on target, they should slow down slightly to ensure an accurate shot. Kawa then focused on moving and shooting, the Pistol 2 section of his class. Here, he taught students how to properly bend their knees and to act as shock absorbers, and how to point our toes in the direction we are moving. To practice moving and shooting, he put us through several drills. The first drill focused on lateral movement, where we engaged multiple targets while moving laterally.
Remember, those knees are your shock absorbers for this uneven ground. If I bend my knees, I can make up for standing on this boulder, right? Because my knees are bent. However, if I'm walking straight-legged, right, that affects my shooting platform dramatically.
Drill number 2 focused on forward movement, shooting at a target with a hostage. We had to take one shot, reload, and take another shot while moving forward and hitting our target while avoiding the hostage. In drill number 3, we also took one shot, reloaded, then took another shot, but this time moving towards our target in an angle rather than straight to it. We moved on to working from cover and concealment. Kawa taught us how to shoot from different positions, including the kneeling position, where he talked about the pros and cons of having one's outside knee up or down. He discussed pieing, where for one-man clearing, movements will typically be slow and deliberate. He also taught us about load-bearing, canting, and backing away from cover.
There you go, good. Don't rush your shots, that's the far off shot. All right, slow down your shot.
The rest of the day was focused on shooting and moving drills, where students had ample time to shoot. We practiced speeding up and slowing down our movement while shooting. Then moved on to a figure 8 drill that required us to be situationally aware of our surroundings, as we had to move backwards and also on uneven surface while shooting. We then ended the day with a timed speed drill with movement that all students ran through. If you're looking to improve your pistol fundamentals and start moving and shooting, I highly recommend Kawa's Pistol 1 and 2 class. He combines a lot of great instruction with a lot of drill time. Kawa's class is safe, fun, and well organized. He demonstrated everything that he taught, and he always kept a close eye on all the students. What I liked most about the class was Kawa's professionalism and his personality. You can tell that not only was Kawa a special operations veteran, but he's also a seasoned instructor. He has a great attitude that reminds me of the standards that we put forth for our subject matter experts at Tactical Hyve. So if you're looking to improve your pistol fundamentals, I highly recommend you take Kawa's Pistol 1 and Pistol 2 class if he ever is in your neighborhood. This is Myles of Tactical Hyve, signing off.